Shalom, Israel. Shalom, shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushai. Double honor to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Hamashiach Malak Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwat out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, being submissive and diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to everybody tuning in live. Love Pius, Ernesto McCrae, Brother Azariah, Shalom King, HBK Ent, Ephraimite Ak, Vernon Brody, Don Israel, Tasia, Isaac, Richard Perez, T. Sellers, Yafei Israel, Judah 4-0, Princess to a King, Solomon McFadden, Shalom Williams, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. We're waning on the Slaki, we're waning down on the new moon, right? It is still the new moon out here on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, you still got some time. If you so-called Central Time, you still got time. But we're closing out on the new moon. So it's meet that we do a new moon live or a new moon lesson as often as possible through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Awashad. So we're going into the heavenly bodies and the earth. So we're going to go into the book of Genesis. We may go to Second Esdras. We may hop into Psalms, go to Job, and uncover the celestial bodies that Yahweh Shemi Awashad has set up in the earth and has set up within the firmament of the earth, and go into what these heavenly bodies' purpose is and how they serve man, and what they mean to us on a physical level and what they mean to us on a spiritual level through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Awashad. This is the 11th month, right? This is your 11th month coming in. So like, and I pulled this up before, but when you look at the screen right here, it gives you a list. And I like this calendar right here because this one, they give you from a climate, agricultural, they give you seasonal rain, they tell you the particular feast days, but here's a list of the calendar with the Syrian / Babylonian names. That's not the Lashuan Quadash, right? But still, you have Nisan, Ayar, Savan, Tammuz, Ab, Elul, Tishri, Heshvan, Kislev, Tebeth, Shabbat, right? Adar, you understand, etc. So right now, we're entering in to the 11th month, right? The 11th month, which is the month of Shabbat, right? Now, the temperature, according in the ancient world, cold weather lessens and rain continues. Almonds blossom. That will happen around the time of the 11th month, which is January. Again, it is not the first month of the year, contrary to the so-called white man's holidays, New Year's parties, calendar, and festivities. It is the 11th month. And the cold weather's here and the rain is continuing, man. Damn near half the East Coast got flooded with rain, man. And the rain is moving and moving. And that's how it was in the ancient world, man. Particularly in that environment and in so-called Middle East, right? And we're still going through that right now. So you're going through the 11th month, which is Shabbat. Now, what I want to do is I just want to get a quick precept or so, right? Because the Most High has our forefathers list these months in particular times, right? This is Zechariah chapter 1 and 7, right? So this is something that happened in time past during the 11th month. Upon the 4th and 20th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sabbat, in the second year of Darius, came the word of Yahweh unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom, and behind him were their red horses, speckled and white. So this is something significant that happened during the time of what? During the time of the 11th month, right? Like they do in um, revisiting today's day in history. This is what happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Well, here's what happened in the 11th month during the time of the Persian captivity. Zechariah saw a vision of a league of angels, an army of angels, in their order as they stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom. Now, the man riding upon a red horse is one of the chief angels, right? And he stood among the myrtle trees because the myrtle trees are glorious. They are beautiful trees, but they are of a low stature, right? So the myrtle trees spiritually are the opposite of the cedar tree. The cedar tree represents somebody strong, full of might, power, honor, glory. The myrtle tree is somebody of a low estate, because during this time we were of a low estate, struggling to build the temple, so I can build the temple and restore our nationality. And we were being vexed by the heathen, and Israel was being slothful when it came to restoring the temple. So at this point, we represented the myrtle trees that were in the bottom. And you also had the horses, which are the angels, speckled in white and red. So you had death angels, you had angels with various responsibilities, and you had the white horses, which represent what? Righteous angels, right? Or angels on the right-hand side. So this is something that happened during the time of the 11th month, right? Which is around the time that you're in now. So it kind of puts things into perspective through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right, let's go to First Maccabees chapter 16. Let's get one more event that happened during the time of the 11th month before we actually get into it. Right? This is the book of First Maccabees. I want chapter 16 and 14. Now Simon was visiting the cities that were in the country and taking care for the good ordering of them, at which time he came down to himself. It's like it came down himself to Jericho with his sons, Mattathias and Judas, in the 167th year, and the 11th month, called Sabbath. So at one point in history, in the 11th month, Zechariah saw visions of the angels of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai fulfilling judgments on the earth. And then another time in history, during the time of the Maccabees, the Hasmonean dynasty, at damn near its peak, or close near its peak at the 11th month, you had Simon putting things in order. So a lot of key events happened during the time of the 11th month. Just like the first month, that has key events. It has the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? The Exodus, right? The Passover, the death of the firstborn, right? And then you have events in 7th month. You got the memorial of blowing the trumpets. You got the Day of Atonement. You got the Feast of Tabernacles. So each month, it has significant events that happens throughout the course of time, right? But again, your month is determined, really, the word month really just means moon, and we've covered that. And as each month comes in, there's a name attached to it, right? So this month, again, this is the Syrian or Babylonian name, right? It's Shabbat. That is the name attached to this so-called month, right? And these are your 12 months of the year, right? Your 12 months of the year. Now, let's go to the book. And again, some accounts, you'll see the Hebrew name, right? Abib, and you'll see certain chapters, Ethanim and Bull, in particular accounts, right? Nevertheless, right now we're dealing with what? We're dealing with the 11th month, Shabbat. Now, let's go to the book of Numbers, right? Chapter 10, right? This is Numbers chapter 10 and verse 10. Also, in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am Yahweh, your God. So we will actually take our shofar and blow the trumpet in the days of our gladness, right? Days of victory and war, days of feasting, days of mirth, right? We also have solemn days, like the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and other days. And what? And in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings. So right now, it is what the beginning of your month. So ideally, you should have been blowing your shofar. You know? Now, although this was a commandment really given to who? To the sons of Aaron and to the Levites, right? For the most part. But now, and in today's time, we have picked on that same spirit, man. And we blow those trumpets, right? In the beginning of our months, right? So the beginning of your month is determined by your new moon. Your new moon is what they call your so-called dark moon. Right now, you don't see the word dark moon in the Bible. It's called the new moon. So here's your certain phases of the moon that come in. You have what you call your new moon, right? Then your waxing crescent, and it always appears with light on the right-hand side, right? That's something that you have to notice when you look at the moon. Your moon increases on the right-hand side, right? Because the right-hand side represents strength and power. Remember, even Yahweh Shai, he sits on the right-hand side of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? This Colossians chapter 3:1. If ye then be risen with Hamashiach, seek those things which are above, where Hamashiach sitteth on the right hand of God. So your right hand is your power. Your right hand is your strength. Yahweh Shai sits on the right hand of the Most High. There's something called a what? A right-hand man, right? Your right-hand man is your go-to guy. He's the guy that gives you strength when you're weak, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. If you need support, that's your right hand. Psalm chapter 137 and verse 5. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. You see that? So David said, if I forget Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. Your right hand are your works, your power, your strength. So whenever we don't remember our homeland, whenever we don't know our nationality, whenever we don't know the name of our God, how to repent, how to keep the commandments, we have lost the strength of our right hand. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. And this is what happens to Israel. Our right hand forgot our cunning. We forgot how to pray. We forgot how to fast as a people. We forgot how to serve the Most High, how to love one another, how to flee from idolatry. Our right hand hath forgot her cunning. If I do not remember thee. So if the Israelites don't remember the Most High, they're essentially bound by this curse. They're bound by these words. Let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. And that's what Israel is doing right now. Their tongue is cleaving to the roof of their mouth, meaning what? They can't speak truth. They can't speak knowledge. Jake conversation is predominantly fueled by sex, money, drugs, folly, weed, clothes, vanity, sin, lust, madness. So their tongue cleaves to the roof of their mouth because they prefer the world instead of preferring Jerusalem as their chief joy. Nevertheless, your right hand is your power and your strength. So again, when you study the moon and you deal with the moon increases chiefly on the right-hand side first in light. All right. And then it begins to wane back down. So when that light starts coming in that crescent, it's showing that that moon is increasing in light. Right. That's what the moon, that's how the moon operates through phases. Right. The moon changes throughout the course of its cycle. A moon cycle operates at about 29.5 days. That is what you call, let's see if I can pull that up. That is what you call a lunar cycle. Let's pull that up. Lunar cycle. Right? A lunar cycle is around 29.5 days. Right? The 8 lunar phases are in order: new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter, and waning crescent. Then it goes back to the new moon. The cycle repeats once a month, right? Every 29.5 days. So you have 12 moons. So your total lunar cycle for the moon to operate in the firmament of the earth and to complete those 12, which is completion, those 12 cycles is around 354.11 days, right? And you can actually find that in the Bible, right? And we can go through that as well. So the moon operates within a firmament and it moves in around 354 days or so, right? That's your lunar cycle. And you could capture that understanding in the scriptures. And we went through this, right? Let's just go through. I didn't plan on going through this much, but we'll deal with it since we're dealing with the sun and the moon, right? This is Genesis, and we've covered this before, chapter 7 and verse 11. And the 600th year of Noah's life, and the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the foundations of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So we have to pay attention to what Yahweh Bashmi Abashah is saying. The Most High is not putting dates in here for no reason. When he puts the month and the day, it matters. It's important because right now the Most High is introducing to you how to determine a solar cycle and a lunar cycle. All right, when you're dealing with the sun and the moon, a cycle is a circuit. It runs a circuit within the firmament of heaven. All right, and we'll go to that in Genesis, the first chapter. So let's read it again. And the 600th year of Noah's life, pay attention to this part. And the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up. So all of the waters from under the earth came up, because there's water under the earth. And the windows of heaven were opened. The Lord opened the firmament, and the waters came down. All right. It's like the waters came down. So the second month and the 17th day of the month. Pay attention to that. Let's jump down. That's when the flood started. The 17th day of the second month is when the flood started. The 17th day of the second month is when the flood started. This is Genesis chapter 7 and 24. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So the 17th day of the second month is when the flood started. And as the water was coming down, the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. You have to remember that 150 days. Let's go to Genesis chapter 8. Genesis chapter 8 and verse 3. And the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. So after 150 days, the water started going down and dry land started appearing. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. So the flood started when? On the 17th day of the second month. And when was it over? The 17th day of the 7th month, which is a difference of what? 5 months. In those 5 months, the waters were on the earth for 150 days. Hope I'm not moving too fast. We went over this before, but it may be new to people, new to brothers, new to sisters, right? If you have 150 days and you have 5 months, how many days are in a month? 30 days, right? 30 days are in a month. Now, if you have 30 days in a month, how many months do you have in a year, right? According to the Bible. Let's go to Esther, right? This is Esther chapter 2 and verse 12. So now we know, based off of 150 days and 5 months, 150 divided by 5 is 30. So each month was 30 days. Esther chapter 2 and verse 12. And we're going to put it all together. We're going to bring it all home. And when every maid's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the woman. For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. So, how long or how many months are there in a year? 12 months, right? This is what you call the prophetic year. 12 months. Let's go to First Kings, right? Let's go to First Kings chapter 4, since we're dealing with the sun and the moon, right? First Kings chapter 4 and verse 7. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. So if you had 12 officers that ran throughout the course of a year and their months, how many months did you have in a year? 12. So you have 30 days in each month. All right, let's pull this up. All right, let's make this visual. You got 30 days in a month because, again, the flood started on the 17th day of the second month. The waters were on the earth 150 days. The flood ended on the 17th day of the seventh month. That's a difference of 5 months. So within those 150 days, there were 5 months, which means there were 30 days in each month. And then it's telling you in Esther 2 and 12, it's plain. And 1 Kings 4 and 7, it's also plain that there are 12 months in a year. So how many days are in a year? Well, this is simple. 306, it's like you're 30, right? Kind of jump the gun, right? Times 12. So there's 360 days in a year, a prophetic year, according to the Most High. Now, you may say, well, hold on. That's not what Esau says. I thought the so-called white man said that there are 365 days in a year, right? How many days are in a year? Right? 365. Where does he get 365 from? From a solar cycle, right? According to the sun also has a cycle, and the sun operates in 365.25 days to finish 1 year of its circuit, right? 365 is really 365.25, right? That's what you call a solar cycle, right? A solar cycle. All right. So you have an annual solar cycle that operates at 365.25 days. That's why Esau has a leap year in America. Every 4 years, there's a leap year because every 0.25, if you have 0.25 times 4, then you have 1. So every 4 years, you have a leap year, you know? So when you have 360 days biblically, what does this mean? Where does this number really come from? This comes from your solar cycle, which is 365.25, plus your lunar cycle, which is 354.11, right? You get 719.36. You divide it by 2 because for the sun and for the moon, and you get your 360, right? 360. That says 359.68 is really just 360, give or take. That's why the scripture says it's 360 days, and that's what we use for breakdowns and prophecy, what we call the prophetic year. So your sun and your moon have 2 different cycles. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1, right? Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14, right? Genesis chapter 1 and 14. And the Elohim said, now this word God is Elohim, which is really Yahweh Shine, the angels, all right, because they were used to orchestrate and create everything that you can see and can't see by Yahweh, the Heavenly Father. And the Most High said, right, what Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So why is the sun and the moon created? Well, first and foremost, to divide the day from the night. Meaning what? When the sun is out, you know it's daytime. When the moon is out, you know it's nighttime. All right, because the moon is out, regardless of the phase. As long as the moon is out, it's nighttime. They're also for signs, right? A sign shows you something. The moon is telling you first, hey, it's night. The sun is telling you first, hey, it's daytime. That's a sign. I'm out here. Right? The sun tells you many other things, which we'll touch on, right? But that's one of the main signs. It also deals with omens, eclipses, blood moons, particular things of that nature as well. And they're for seasons, right? Appointed times, and for days and years. So that's what the sun and the moon serve, right? Every time the sun goes down, the day's over and a new day begins, right? And all right, Salakia, right? I'm going on a whole spill, and I didn't even know Satan tried to kick off the live, man. Now I got to know what was the last thing I was going into, right? You see that? I don't even know how long I was out, right? Satan, man, I'm going into it. pulling up the screen, I'm showing stuff, and find out the damn live is out. So now I got to figure this thing out, right? So like, you bear with me, right? Satan, man, trying to cause confusion. But we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, right? We are not ignorant of Satan's devices. So I got to go back into the last thing before it cut out, right? Let's see. Salakia. All right, so I was in Genesis 1 to 14. All right, the water. All right, Genesis 1 to 14. All right, so let's go back to this. See that? We're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. Right? Let's go back into this. Genesis 1 to 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Yeah, we covered the signs. Again, the signs is what? The moon tells you it's nighttime. The sun tells you it's daytime. The moon serves in particular purposes for judgment, such as blood moons. There's eclipses. All of these different events happen to let man know that Yahweh Bashmir Shah is doing something on the earth. You also have their appointed times, and they serve for days and years. We showed you years, right? We just went into how the moon has a particular cycle and the sun has a cycle, how they operate to orchestrate a year in the eyes of Yahweh Bashmir Shai for man and for days. Okay, the sun goes down, boom, the day's over. Once that day's over, you should see the number of that day in the sky based off of the moon. And really, man, when you kind of in this thing, you can really look at the sun and know what hour it is, man. You got to kind of be in this. You got to be in tune with the spirit, man. Some people could look at the sun and say, yeah, it's around 4 o'clock. Then they go check their phone and they're watching. Okay, yeah, okay, I was right. It's 4 o'clock. You might be off 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Hey, but you close, man. And that's a challenge, man. Brothers got to get in tune, because when this place go down, you want to kind of know what's going on. Sometimes, Jake, when you making moves and you rushing on a Shabbat, if you didn't prepare accordingly, or some unforeseen circumstance befalls you and you have to rush and make moves, and you're looking at the sun and you're like, damn, I got to hurry up and get this before the sun go down. You can just tell. And then if you also in the spirit, you can look at the moon and know what day of the week it is, right? Or what day of the month. Because the new moon is the dark moon, that's the first day. Then when it's around the full moon, it's the 15th day or so, right? And then, around the last quarter, it's around the 21st or 22nd day, and then it goes back to the new moon. So really, when you're in the spirit, our forefathers, again, they used the sun and the moon, and they were very well aware about when the hours were and when the days were, right? Genesis 1 to 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth, and it was so. So hold on, it don't say the sun and the moon are millions of miles away. Where is that at? I thought it said in the firmament. In means what? Inside. Esau teach it's outside. Well, who's right? Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, or your professor? The Most High. He said these lights are in the firmament of the heaven. Now, Esau, he teaches you that the moon is rotating around the earth at X amount, speed per hour, and the sun is moving. I mean, it's like the earth is moving, and as the earth is moving, all of these other planets are moving, and then now they're teaching that the sun is moving. The sun is moving like this, and then you got all these planets and the stuff just moving, and the sun is just going, God knows, it's just on its own trajectory. That's madness. The sun is not even teaching. Man, you watch some of these Edomites, man. They have people bugged out. These people be bugged out watching this stuff. our galaxy might collide with another galaxy in 200 years, and then we collide. There's going to be a black hole, and all believe in that, man. It's not in the Bible. There's no black hole that's going to exterminate the civilization of man. There's no meteor that was this close to destroying the earth. All of that are just outright lies. Let me just put it out there, man. Let me pull that up. Asteroid almost hit the earth. Let me see what Esau say. Look at this. See that? The asteroid has been traveling at an astonishing speed of 86,000 kilometers per hour. How are they just getting the Esau just throws numbers out there that you can't really deal with. So a lot of people just accept it because you can't really challenge it, you know, because these are just some crazy numbers. Now you got people asking, is the Earth going to get hit by an asteroid? Will an asteroid hit the Earth in 2046? Right? You think I'm worried about an asteroid hitting the Earth in 2046? No. But you know, there's people that are. They are scared to death. They are fearful. You know, they're getting all of their equipment ready, right? They getting their aluminum foil hats, you know, that with the point on the end of it, man. You know, buying those radios that you talk in with the truck drivers. We're not worried about this stuff that Esau he pushes, man. Look at this. So this is not of the Most High. I just want to put that out there, right? Just want to. Right? Let's just pull up Esau's lies, right? Because this is what Esau teaches, right? The Big Bang. Now, I didn't know he taught the Dark Ages. Now there's another Dark Ages. So you had the Big Bang, then for 380,000 years. How do you know that? How can you measure that? How do you know when it started and when that 380,000 year was over? How were you there when the first star appeared, man? And who calculated that? Against what time? The damn dark ages of creation. This is madness, but yet people are paying top dollar money to go to Harvard, Yale. You're going to be an astrophysicist, an astronaut, an astronomer, a sea serpent. You want to be whatever. You know? One thing I wasn't good at in so-called school was chemistry and this kind of stuff, man. Right? I just didn't get it. It just didn't make any sense. Chemistry didn't make any sense. I don't know what the hell was going on with all of that sorcery. And this kind of stuff never made any sense, man. Now they got the early galaxies appear, then the formation of the solar system. Well, that's not according to Genesis chapter 1. Now he's saying, let's pull this up. How fast is the sun moving? Look at this. He just make up stuff. This man's a damn demon. 200 kilometers per second. The sun and the solar system appear to be moving at 200 kilometers per second. I mean, like how can you what tool is measuring that? It's not a what's that speed radar that the police got. It's not a stopwatch. What type of tool is measuring the speed of the entire solar system per second? Now, maybe I don't know. Maybe they say, well, look, you sound stupid. You didn't need to go to Harvard. You need to go to Yale, right? Because I'm trying to figure this thing out. Or at an average speed of 448,000 miles per hour. Even at this rapid speed, the solar system would take about 230 million years to travel all the way around the Milky Way. The Milky Way too moves in space relative to other galaxies. So now This is out of whack. That's not according to Genesis. What did the Most High say? And God said, right? Yahweh, Bashmi Abashada, Allah Hayim, let there be lights. The Most High created the sun and the moon. This is how it went down. This is how it went down, man. And he created them in the firmament of the heaven. So when you look up, let's see. So they're inside the firmament of the heaven. So your firmament is your so-called sky, and the sun and the moon are inside. They're not moving 200 miles per hour to another galaxy. You know what Esau teaches? How the moon was made? I believe he says an asteroid hit the earth and a piece broke off from the earth and it created the moon. And the moon was stuck inside of the earth's gravitational pull. Right? Let me pull this up. How was the moon made? We just have to expose Esau's lies. How was the moon? Look at that. The giant impact theory, and Esau always got to just winging it. The giant impact theory is most widely accepted today. This proposes that the moon formed during a collision. Where is it at in Genesis? Right? During a collision. How did it start moving? What made it move? Right? During a collision between the Earth and another small planet, about the size of the planet Mars. The debris from this impact collected in an orbit around Earth to form the moon. So that's not according to the Most High. That's according to this man's world. Let's go to Romans chapter 12 and 2. Right? Let's go to Romans. Let's open up in the blue letter. Because we're not accepting Esau's concept of the earth and the moon. Right? That's what we have to be born again. We have to relearn everything about Yahweh Bashmi Awashai. We have to learn the creation again. We have to learn and compare it against the lies that we were taught. We were all taught lies. We're literally lied to about everything. Who we are, who our God is, our nationality, our heritage, how great we are, that we're the chosen people, how the Most High created the heavens, how he created the earth. We were lied to about who's our enemy, religion, politics. We just don't know anything. So we have to be born again. Right? Romans 12 and 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So now you have to be taught the right way of the creation and what the earth and the sun and the moon are really about and what purpose they serve and how the Most High made them and what service they provide unto man. If you try to come into this thing and you're still thinking that asteroid's going to hit the earth and you fear that, Esau's making you fear him and his judgments instead of fearing the Most High. So now you're scared that a damn asteroid and comet's going to hit the earth, but yet you're eating pork, not fearing the sword that's coming from your maker. Right? And you're committing adultery and lusting and going to church on Sunday and freaking off. You're about to be destroyed by the Most High, but you're worried about a damn asteroid, a black hole, and all types of wickedness that this man's pushing, man. So you got to renew your mind. We fear Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai. We're not worried about what Esau says is going to happen with the earth and the moon, man. It has nothing to do with the Most High at all. Let's go to Matthew chapter 9. Right? Matthew chapter 9. And these are things our forefathers already knew. Right? Matthew chapter 9 and verse 16. No man putteth the piece of new cloth unto an old garment. For that which is put in to fill up taketh from the garment, and the rent is made worse. So the new cloth is this truth, this new knowledge, this new heritage, the name of the Most High. And it's not new as if you never wore this garment before. You used to wear this garment 2,000 years ago. You knew about the Most High. You knew about Yahweh Shai. There was a time when you knew the laws and the commandments. You knew about the ordinances of the sun and the moon. That's in the book of Jude. You knew these things. So it's not new as if it's something you've never seen before. This new cloth is a refreshed cloth. It's being given to you again. It's new in this life. And you got to take that old garment off. The old garment is that old science, that old lust, that old knowledge, that old you, old wisdom that has expired when the truth was made manifest. If you try to mix them, like you mix a new outfit and an old outfit, you're going to destroy the new outfit. You're going to destroy it, man. You don't take $1,000 outfit and just cut pieces of it and put patches of it on your work outfit. You destroy your new garment. You can't mix this truth, right, and mix it with the world. All right. So again, don't believe this stuff, man. Look at this. He even got a damn diagram. You don't have to believe this. The impact, and then the moon starts circulating. That's not according to the Most High. All right. What did the Lord say? And is this a perfect diagram? No, it may not be a perfect diagram, but it's close. All right. So you have the firmament and you have the sun and the moon that operate in the firmament. And these are the waters that are above the firmament. And you have the stars also. You have a greater light to rule the day, and it has a particular cycle that it operates in. You have a lesser light to rule the night. And she has a particular cycle that she operates in, because the moon is personified as a woman and the sun is personified as a man. And they have a great relationship between one another, and they converse often. Okay. Now, the moon is a woman, again, because the moon is a lesser light, like a woman is a weaker vessel. The moon is a vessel, but it's a weaker vessel. The sun is a vessel, but it's a stronger vessel. It brings forth a greater light, like man brings forth a greater light than that of a woman. Because the men are the 144,000. They're the kings. They're the priests. And it's not taken away from the role of a woman, because you have very many righteous women that are going to enter into everlasting life as well. But they have a light that they bring forth, and their light is to teach the young woman. Their light is to guide the children. Their light is to show how to be a wife, how to love your husband, how to be chaste, keepers at home, right? That's the light that they teach. That's a lesser light than a man that's teaching what's going on to Revelation, the 16th chapter, 2nd Ezra, the 11th to 12th chapter, Daniel, the 9th chapter, Daniel 12, this many days, and this prophecy. That's a greater light, repentance, and serve the Most High, keep the law. Just like the sun. That's why the sun is personified as a he in the Bible, and the moon is personified as a she. Okay? So let's go back to this. Right? Let's go back to this. Let's read this one more time. Actually, read 15, Genesis 1 and 15. And it reads, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. So the firmament is what you call the sky, right? Your so-called sky. Let's go to Genesis, right? And you can't pierce and go through the firmament. We've covered that before, right? Actually, let's go to Job 37, right? Let's go to Job, the 37th chapter. This is Job chapter 37 and verse 18. Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking glass? So the sky is something that's impenetrable. You can't break it. You can't crack it. I mean, there's thousands of videos. I'm not going to pull up every video, every clip. You can find it on your own. They shoot rockets, missiles. They go up there. They try to do this. Then they try to crack it. They try to, whatever. But you can't go past the firmament. Okay? You just can't. Because even above the firmament are the waters. And the Most High didn't even create man to go that high. That's why when man goes that high, man needs different types of breathing instruments and apparatuses attached to him, right? And it gets too cold up there, so man has to put on special equipment when he's flying these jets and he's trying to be too high. The Most High never said get all the way up there. What the hell are you doing up there, man? What's up there is none of your damn business. The Most High put you on the earth. Stay on the earth, man. And your job is to rule over the beasts of the field. and over the fowls of the air, and over the fishes of the sea. You got dominion on the earth. What are you doing up there trying to damn taste and kiss the moon, man? You know? Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31. So the sky is strong like a molten looking glass. First, let me get this in Isaiah 40. Right? Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 21. Have ye not known? Have ye not heard? Hath it not been told you from the beginning? Have ye not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. So again, the Most High is explaining how that firmament is like a tent, right? That's spread in, and the earth is like where man would sit. All right. So that's how the Most High described the heavens and the earth. The heavens are stretched out like a curtain, like a tent, and the earth part is the circle or where man dwells on. All right. And man can't go past that firmament, just like you can't walk through your tent. You can't jump and go through your tent. It's not happening. You can't just walk through objects, man. All right. You can't just jump up. I'm gonna leave my tent and you try to go up vertically. No, man. That's how the heavens are. You can't leave vertically. And you can't leave this earth, man. And start a colony on Mars. Right? So all his Star Trek, he got Star Trek, he got what's that? Star Wars. You know the Esau movies he got, man. Buzz Lightyear, you know, where he wants to travel to infinity and beyond. He's from a galaxy, like they tell you in Star Wars, once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. Right? On planet so-and-so. I don't know the model on Star Trek, but Star Trek, they do the same thing too, man. They're going out, put the ship in light speed. Put it in light speed. Hurry up. They're on us. So the guy, they stress and they looking for the button, and he pressed the button, and the damn missile's coming, but he hurt him press it. Then they fast and they go, and then the damn thing open up, and they go in light speed. And then we're safe. And the guy, he's sitting in the chair. Okay, Speenon, press button 3, and you put the rockets in warp mode. And that's not happening. There's no guy sitting in the damn Star Trek chair. Man, I can barely say it. Star Trek, whatever that is, man, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Look at this. Right, Star Trek chair. Where's this at in the scriptures, man? You know? Well, you got some, and there's always a so-called white man. Now, I remember we went to this before. There's an actual Star Trek episode where they met the Most High. They actually met the Most High. All right, let me see if I can find that. Star Trek meets God. Look at this. I'm going to pull this up. Right, he actually met the Most High. And he was really trying to tell the Most High what to do. Right, when you watch this, he was really trying to tell the Most High what to do. And then the other Edomite had to say, well, hold on, look, you know that's the Most High. And he had him as a so-called white man. So hold on, let me play this real quick. So this is not of the Most High, right? Let's see if I can play this. All right, look at this madness. This is sickening. Right? Absolute sickening. So they made it so far in a galaxy, they met the Lord.
Voice of God.
You heard him? He said, this is the voice of God.
Is this the voice of God?
One voice, many faces. God said to. It is I. The journey you undertook to reach me could not have been an easy one.
It was not. The barrier stood between us, but we breached it.
You heard what he said? Evidently, the Most High said that the barriers or the perils you took to reach me was not easy. Then you heard what Esau said. Esau said, we broke the barrier and we got to you. Listen to what Esau said. He said, we broke the barrier and we finally got to you. So they know what be going on.
God said to. It is I. The journey you undertook to reach me could not have been an easy one.
It was not. The barrier stood between us, but we breached it.
That the barrier stood between us, but we breached.
Magnificent.
And the Most High said magnificent. Where is that at in the scriptures? Well, you can try to crack through the firmament, and then it says, okay, well, magnificent. That's not in the scriptures.
You are the first to find me.
We sought only your infinite wisdom.
And how did you breach the barrier?
How did you? So the Most High asks in this so-called white man, right? How did you breach the barrier? How did you breach the barrier?
With a starship.
This starship.
Right, and you can watch the rest on your own. So now the Most High, he's trying to figure out what that starship is. How did you crack it with the starship? And now the Most High is trying to figure out, okay, well, what kind of starship is that? You know, how did you do that? I didn't know about it. But again, that shows you the pride of the so-called white man, right? That shows you the pride of the so-called white man. Again, the Most High said that it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Let's go to Job chapter 26, right? So that's how the Most High likens the heavens and the earth. Job chapter 26 and verse 7. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. So the earth is hanging upon nothing, right? It's naturally suspended, right? That's what the Most High has, right? It's suspended on nothing. So you can't leave the firmament and see how the earth is able to just be suspended and hanged up upon nothing. You can't. That's something that man won't be able to figure out, right? But that's something that the so-called white man likes to try to search out. He thinks that he can measure how high the heavens are, how deep the earth is. The Most High says that you don't have the wisdom to do so in the book of Jeremiah. So again, you can't believe the convoluted, inflated numbers that they put out there. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 31, right? And verse, it's like at 35. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, said the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So if the sun and the moon stop working and stop doing the work that the Most High set them up to do, then we will also just not be the chosen people of the Lord anymore, right? Thus said the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, said the Lord. Meaning the Most High will never cast us off, because you can never measure the heavens, right? You can never truly measure the firmament. So again, we have to understand the concept that Yahweh Ba'ashmel Rashai is set up with the firmament and the sun and the moon that operate in it. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 43, right? Ecclesiasticus, the 43rd chapter, and we'll read verse 1, and I'll jump down. Right, this Ecclesiasticus chapter 43 and verse 1. The pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven with its glorious show. So the firmament is likened to being clear, That's where you can see the waters above the firmament. All right. The sun, when it appeareth, declaring at his rising, a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High. So before I touch on the sun, let me completely deal with the moon. This Ecclesiastes 43:6. He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. So the moon tells you the times, meaning days, months, and years, in tandem with the sun, and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. So why does it say a moon is a sign of feast? Well, on one level, the new moon, right? Because when the moon is beginning to wane down and it's a dark moon, what they call a dark moon, right? Which is really a new moon. If you see that, then you will know that, hey, look, it's a feast day. It is the new moon. Even Saul himself kept the new moon day or the feast day. All right. Even in particular months throughout the year or moons, you have set feast days. So when the first moon comes, you have your new moon. Then you have your feast of unleavened bread. All right. Then you have when your seventh moon comes, right? You have other feast days. You have your memorial blowing of trumpets. You have your Day of Atonement, right? You have your Feast of Tabernacles. So the moon lets you know when feast days are beginning to come in and when a feast day is there. You use the moon to mark the phases to know what days the the feast days are coming in. And the moon is a light that decreaseth in her perfection. That's what you call the waning presence of the moon. Again, when you look up the phases of the moon is perfect when it's full and its context of light. And the Lord said, decreaseth in her perfection. So after the moon is full, it begins to decrease. Let's see if I can make this right. It begins to decrease. So first it starts with a new moon, and then it increases in light. It turns to a waxing crescent. And like we went into, remember, the light of the moon tends to always increase on the right-hand side first. All right. Again, remember that's spiritual. Right? The moon should be teaching you as well. The moon is not something to worship. The moon is not something to ignore. The moon plays an integral part on the earth, amongst nature, when it comes to farming, agriculture, the tides, right? The moon plays an integral role when it comes to animals and their breeding cycles and how they hunt and things of that nature, right? The moon has a lot of effects on man that man may not even know. Huh? The moonlight and what that does into man, into plants. There's even proof that a woman's a woman's flower is influenced by the moon. And when you have a lot of women together that spend time together, a lot of their flowers tend to be around the same time. You know, that actually happens, man. You know, now a woman if you have like a school, or all girls school, or you got multiple wives, you got something anywhere where you got a bunch of women that stick around, their flowers intertwine. Now you can say, well, I'm making that up. How do you know? Well, it's a fact. What do you think the word lunatic comes from? Or lunacy? A lunatic goes back to the ancient custom or tradition that a man's mind was influenced by the moon. And a man that was bugged out, he was bugged out based off of the changes of the moon. Even eclipses at one time were said to be caused by the moon. You know? Now, some of that stuff is true, like a woman and her cycle, but some of the stuff Esau goes off on. You see, Esau believed in werewolves, and you look at the moon and all of that, but that goes back to the ancient understanding that the moon played an integral role in the psychology and the behavior of animals, which it does. And we'll touch on that. A lot of animals use the moon as a time to breed. Some animals use the moon when it's a full moon. They say, look, okay, it's time to lay my eggs right by the shore in the nest. right? Some animals use the moon as a sign of hunting, like lions. They like to hunt around the time of the full moon because they can see more. So the moon plays a major role in the life of man and beast and plants alike. And we'll touch on that. We're going to go into the moon. We're going to go into the sun and the purpose that they serve these heavenly bodies. Nevertheless, we read in Ecclesiastes chapter 43 that the moon is a light that what decreaseth, right? And her perfection. So once she's perfected, after she increases in light on the right-hand side, like we should all be increasing in light on the right-hand side, then she decreases, right? And now that light is moving from the right-hand side and is shifting towards the left-hand side all the way to darkness. That's what happens with man. That's what happens with man in the truth that falls off, right? That goes back into the world. That goes back to the old man. That goes into the reprobate mind. We should be increasing day by day. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. This is what the moon should instruct you, right? Actually, let's go to Job first. Job chapter 12. Again, the moon is not something to look at and just, oh, wow, okay, well, what's that? No, you should look at the moon and receive instruction. That's what the Most High said in Job chapter 12 and verse 7. But ask now the beasts of the field, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. So beasts can teach you and tell you certain things, and even the earth can tell you certain things, right? The moon can speak to you outside of let you know what kind of day it is, or what day of the week it is, or what day of the month it is, or if there's more to the moon than just a blood moon, right? You should be increasing in light as the moon increases in light, right? Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. Every time it's a new moon, you should be reminded of the time that you were in darkness. Every time it's a new moon, you should be reminded of the time when you were empty of light, when you was in the world, when you was smoking weed, when you was breaking the Sabbath, when you was freaking off, when you were a reprobate, doing God knows what. And now you have to pattern yourself and increase in light as you increase towards perfection, right? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 10. And indeed, they do it toward all the brethren which are in all Macedonia. But we beseech you, brethren, that ye increase more and more. Just like the moon, you have to increase more and more unto perfection. The Lord said what? Let's go to Matthew. Actually, let's go to Genesis first. This is Genesis chapter 17 and verse 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahweh appeared unto Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. Straight up, the Lord said, be thou perfect. That's the standard. That's the expectation, to be full of light. And the light that we have to intake is what? The word of the Most High. Right? That's why, what did Yahweh Shah say? John chapter 8 and verse 12. Then spake Yahweh Shai again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. See that? He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Just like you can't walk in darkness if you have a full moon. The moon is set up to give you light. All right? So just like Yahweh Shai, he is a light. And if you are walking in Yahweh Shai, if you're walking in this truth, and you're being upright, and you're repenting, and you're following the footsteps of the Son of Man, being blameless without spot and without blemish, then you'll never walk in darkness and you'll have the light of life. That's what the moon teaches you as it goes through phases. All right? So it starts with a new moon, then a waxing crescent. Like you have to wax stronger and stronger. What does it say about the house of David and the house of Saul? Right? What does it say about the house of David? Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 3. 2 Samuel chapter 3 and 1. Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And David and Saul, David's like the new moon increasing to perfection. Saul was like the Saul was like the full moon decreasing into darkness. And that's how the Most High set them up. Because David was waxing stronger and stronger to righteousness. The Most High was with him. He slew Goliath. Everybody loved him. Everybody respected David. David was a man after the Most High's own heart, right? David didn't take any gifts. David was blameless and of good behavior amongst men and the Most High. So David was like a new moon. He started in darkness. Remember, he was just a shepherd. You know, he was the youngest son. He wasn't even thought of to be king by Samuel. You know, but he started waxing stronger and stronger. Saul, at this time, Saul was already the full moon. Saul was already perfect. He was king. He had wives. He had an army. He had glory. He was anointed. He had prestige. But Saul started turning into darkness, right? He started going from that perfection and he started decreasing in his perfection, right? And going all the way back into darkness to the day that he died. And again, the light of the moon is in a particular direction. Remember, it increases on the right-hand side of light. And then that light shifts towards the left-hand side. What does the left-hand side represent? The left-hand side represents evil, sin, folly and vanity, and wickedness. So do you want to be the waxing crescent as you approach perfection? Or do you want to be the waning crescent as you are on your way back to darkness? Right? Where do you want to be at in life, man? Right? Where are you changing to? Are you changing towards darkness or changing towards light? Let's go to Job 23 and 19, right? About the left-hand side. Right? Job chapter 23 and verse, it's like 9. Job chapter 23 and 9. On the left hand, where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. So the Most High, he works on the left hand. That's why people get hit by cars. People get hit by buses, right? People get struck by lightning. People go off and commit adultery. People profane the name of the Most High. People are into other doctrines. There are people that believe that they're King David, that they can eat pork and celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving. That's the Most High working on the left hand. All right. And you don't want to work on the left hand. You don't want to be like Saul and like many other men in the last days. And at one time they were full of light, man. They knew the truth. They might even have known the Hebrew, man. Maybe they joined the camp. Right? Maybe they were studied, they had their Bible, and they even had an apocrypha. They might have bought a Bible dictionary, maybe concordance. You know, they might have made a social media. They might have told people about the truth. And, okay, we're Israel. And they might have said, Kwame Ashala. Then they started waning all the way back to sin. Let's go back to Ecclesiasticus. Right? Let's go back to Ecclesiasticus 43 and 7. For the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. You don't want to decrease. Right? You want to increase. The month is called after her name because the word month literally means moon. Increasing wonderfully in her changing. And you have to increase wonderfully in your changing. Right? Shining in the army, Slakia, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of the heaven. All right. So again, the moon should teach you to increase in light, to increase in knowledge and understanding, and it charges you not to decrease and to examine yourself. Right. So again, here's your phases of the moon. And know the full moon is not a new moon. Because you got brothers saying that now, the full moon is a new moon. No, look, you got a new moon and you got a full moon. How is a full moon a new moon? They're two different things. They're called two different things in the Bible. Let me get a precept on that real quick, because you got brothers saying, I thought the full moon was the new moon. That's probably the worst doctrine, or probably I'll just put it out there. It's probably the dumbest doctrine, that exists. One of them, right? It's just asinine, right? It's just complete madness. This Ecclesiasticus, chapter 50 and verse 5. Right? I'm gonna start at 4. It's speaking of Simon, right? It reads, he took care. I'm gonna start at 4. He took care of the temple that it should not fall, and fortified the city against the besieging. So he's being likened unto the moon. When you read it, he's being likened unto a moon that's increasing. His works shows that he was waxing stronger as he took on a task to take care of the temple. He took care of the task to fortify the city. These are works that he does to increase. So he's likening it to the moon, but he's likening it to a moon that's increasing, that's starting from a beginning. How did the Maccabees start? How did these men start? They started off in darkness. They were in the wilderness, living like the beasts of the field. They left their whole lives behind. They was out there with their cattle. They were refugees, man. Then they took down place by place, city by city, tower by tower, right? And they waxed stronger, right? How was he honored in the midst of the people in his coming out of the sanctuary? He was as the morning star in the midst of a cloud, and as the moon at the full. Because the Levites and these men, or the Maccabees, they started off as a revolt and nothing, but they increased so much. Read how Simon was living. Read the glory of Onias. Read about Judas. Read about Jonathan. These men became mighty men. They became as the moon at the full. They started from darkness and they perfected out. Simon had cities, a store. He was a captain. He was a high priest. He was a king. He had a league with the Romans. He built monuments. He built sepulchres. He built 7 cunning pyramids with devices and many such things, man. But one thing I want in this verse, it says he was as the moon at the full. So there's something called a full moon in the Bible, and there's something called a new moon. You can't have a full moon and a new moon be the same thing. If the full moon is the new moon, this would have said, and as the moon at the new. How come it doesn't say as the moon at the new? If the full moon is the new moon, right? It just makes, it's one, like I said, it's one of the worst things I've heard. I just want to touch on that. It's not the point of this, but since we're talking about the moon, we have to get the proper understanding. Let's get one more about this new moon, full moon thing, just to bring some clarity. Because that's something that you may see or hear, as you take your walk in the land of the living. Psalms chapter 81 and verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, and the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So this is speaking about the time of the Exodus. When you read Psalms chapter 81, it's speaking about the time that we left Egypt. So it's saying, blow up the trumpet in the new moon and the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Now, when you look this word time appointed up, first let's do new moon, right? That word in the Hebrew is kadash, right? Not quadash, kadash, all right? And it says the new moon, month or monthly, the first day of the month, the lunar month. So when it's saying blow up the trumpet in the new moon, it's the new month, right? The new month, which is what? The month Abib, your first month. So blow up the trumpet on the first month. That's what it's saying. The word moon means month. It's not talking about the first day. It's going to tell you that. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon and the time appointed. Now you look up the word time appointed. It's kasat. in the Hebrew. It says what? Full moon. So you're blowing up the trumpet on the first month on the full moon. First month on the full moon, because the full moon happened on the Exodus when we left Egypt. And that's what Psalms 81 is going into, the time that we left Egypt. Right, let's read it again. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon at the time appointed on our solemn feast day. And it's really saying blow up the trumpet in the first month on the full moon on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. And when do we get this law? This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. When did we leave Egypt? The Passover. It's letting you know the Passover, on the Passover, it was the full moon. The Lord said, blow up the trumpet in the new month at the full moon, because this is the time of the Passover. Because on the Passover, it's always a full moon, right? Always. It's always a full moon. We go to Numbers chapter 33. Numbers chapter 33 and verse 3. And they departed from Ramesses on the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. On the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. So it's telling you, we left Egypt on the 15th day of the first month. Therefore, the 15th day of the first month was the time that we blew the trumpet, because we were leaving Egypt on what? A full moon. The Exodus was a full moon on the 15th day. So how are you going to have a full moon if the full moon is the new moon? Make it make sense. If your full moon is the new moon, how can you have a full moon on the first day of the month and a full moon on the 15th day of the month? How do you have two full moons in 15 days? Doesn't add up. It's impossible. It's just literally impossible. Right? You have your new moon on the first day. Right? Then your first quarter comes in around the 7th. Then your full moon comes in around the 15th. And then your third quarter comes in around the 21st. And then around the new moon, it starts all over again. All right? It starts all over again. So that's why you have a full moon and you have a new moon. They are not the same. Let's get one more in that and we'll move on. All right? Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 39. Right? Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 12. It reads, yet have I more to say, which I have thought upon, for I am filled as the moon at the full. So Ecclesiastes or Sirach, he knew the difference between between the full moon and the new moon. If the full moon was the new moon, he wouldn't have said, I am filled as the moon at the full. He would have called it a new moon. Right? He would have said, I'm filled as the time when the moon is new. But he speaks of a new moon and a full moon. Right? Even when you deal with this account, right? A lot of times of agriculture and flooding of the banks, it happened around the time of a full moon, because the moon has a heavy influence on the tides. That's an actual thing. Let's pull this up. Right, so like your moon controls tides. All right. High tides and low tides are caused by the moon. The moon's gravitational pull generates something called the tidal force. The tidal force causes the Earth and its water to bulge out on the side closest to the moon. These bulges of water are high tides. right? Now check this out. The moon appears full when the earth is between the moon and the sun, right? So they kind of go on their own thing with that. But check this out. So the question is, why are tides higher than a full moon? You know why tides are higher than a full moon? Because it's in the Bible, right? The Bible shows that tides are higher around the time of the full moon, right? When you go to the book of Joshua, right? We bring this precept out often, right? This Joshua chapter 3 and 15. It reads, and as they that bear the ark were coming to Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan overfloweth all his banks all the time of harvest. And that's around the time of what? The first month. In the middle of the first month, which is around the time of the full moon, when the banks begin to overflow, because your moon controls a lot of the water, has a heavy influence on the water and on the crops, and it plays a major role in the harvest. That's why a lot of farmers, they use the moon, right? They use the moon for harvesting, they use the moon for gathering crops, and they use the moon for planting, right? And I believe I had that. Let's see. Let's see. Right now, this is what people actually do, right? They actually do this thing, right? Plant your annual flowers and fruits and vegetables that bear crops above ground during the waxing of the moon. For the day, from the day the moon is new to the day it is full. As the moonlight increases night by night, plants are encouraged to grow leaves and stems. And farmers actually do that, man. Right? There's particular signs that show that the moon plays a major role in the soil and the water, because it helps move the water under the soil and guides that water to water the plants. That's why farmers tend to plant based off of moons. That's why one of our main harvests is during the time of the full moon. Right? There's something called a harvest moon, which happens during the time of the 7th month. All right. I don't want to eat a mic, man. Right. So there's something called a harvest moon, which is the moon that happens. It's the brightest moon during the time of the 7th month. Okay. Now, why is the peak of harvest at the full moon? Because by that time, the plants are fully grown. Right? They're fully grown and ready to come up at that time, just like man. Remember, Yahweh Bashmi likens man's growth unto a harvest, a time of the harvest. All right, so let's go to the book of Leviticus, right? Chapter 23. It's Leviticus chapter 23. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I just want to read verse 39. Also, this is dealing with the Feast of Tabernacles. Also, on the 15th day of the 7th month, which will be a full moon, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. So during the time of the 7th month, you had a harvest moon taking place. A harvest moon on the 15th day of the 7th month. And during the time of the harvest moon, that moon was in the nighttime for the longest period of time when you look it up. And a lot of animals use the moon, right? When you pull up, let's pull up lions use moon to hunt. Or they say new moon. The lunar cycle was it's lucky, and it's going to tell you it's the new moon, right? The lunar cycle was a strong candidate, especially after a 2011 study by Packer and colleagues showed that lions enjoy more success hunting wildlife during the new moonlight. Why is it the new moon? Because they can't be seen, right? It's dark, it's nighttime. They're not going to hunt in the full moon when the deer and the gazelles and zebras can see them. So their power is going to dwell in darkness. So the lions are looking at the moon, and they're waiting for this thing to go down, man. They're counting the days. Right? When you read Psalms chapter 104, it says the young lions cry and seek their meat from God. So a lot of lions, they'll wait to the time of the new moon to hunt. They wait for the new moon to hunt. And then you have animals that breed around the time of the moon. Right? What's up? Based off moon. Let's see. As it turns out, many species of marine invertebrates use lunar cycles to synchronize breeding patterns or partners, including some species of sea urchins, oysters, various polychaetae, worms, and crustaceans. But romantic rendezvous under the moonlight are not the only thing invertebrates set their lunar calendars for. So you have a lot of creatures in the ocean, they wait on the moon, right? They also use the moon as well. So a lot of beasts of the field, crustaceans, they wait on the time of the moon. They wait on the time of the tides, right? Let me read one more. Many species of crustaceans have been observed to time their molting to certain parts of the lunar and tidal cycle. All right, so you have creatures in the ocean that literally are waiting for the moonlight, right? They're literally, it's like you're waiting for the moonlight. And a lot of farmers, they breed off of the moon too. All right, so the moon plays a major role in the life of man, right? So another thing, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 and 16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So your greater light is the sun. Now the sun tells you what hour the day it is primarily, right? The sun moves in different time periods, and a lot of people use the sun. All right, they have sundials. When you read about Ahaz had a sundial that he took from the Babylonians, because the Babylonians would actually use a sundial. Right, let's pull that up in the time of Second Kings. Right, this Second Kings chapter 20 and 11. And Isaiah the prophet cried unto the Lord, and he brought the shadow 10 degrees backward, by which it had gone down in the dial of Ahaz. What is the dial of Ahaz? Let's pull that up. It's a sundial that Ahaz got from the heathen. All right. It is known as the dial of Ahaz, after the king of Judah, who supposedly invented the sundial in the 8th century. Right? Now, some accounts say he invented it, some say he got it from the Babylonians. All right. So Ahaz had a sundial. When you look it up, this is an actual sundial. And it's like a clock. Right. So as the sun is out there, you can look at more videos how a sundial works. Right. As the sun hits it, the shadow tells you what hour the day is on. Right. It's kind of marking the counting of the sun. The Lord said, are there not 12 hours in a day? So this is where you get your clock from. Everybody's trying to figure out, okay, why is there a clock with 12 hours? How come it's not 13? Because it's based off of the sundial and it's based off of the 12 hours in a day. There are 12 pockets of light that the sun operates in. through the spirit of the Most High. And the sun actually runs a course. Remember, we don't revolve around the sun. The sun is in the firmament and it moves inside of the earth. The sun has a course, right? And as it goes through its course throughout the day, it tells you what hour it is, right? When the sun is at its peak, it's noonday. All right, when it's going back down, it's approaching the evening time. So this is called the dial of Ahaz. That was influenced by the sun. See that? Now let's go into this. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 1 and verse 5. Right? Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 5. The sun also ariseth, the sun goeth down and hasteth to his place where he arose. So the sun has a course, right? It has a particular cycle that it goes in. Just because you don't see the sun doesn't mean it vanished or is off the earth. The sun operates in this pattern, and the moon operates in this pattern, right? So sometimes you'll have the sun higher and closer to you. Sometimes the sun is moving further away, right? Like some people think the sun set and it just went into darkness. No, that's madness, man. The sun didn't just set and vanish and it hit behind. No, the sun moves further away. Sometimes the sun is higher, right? Like in the cold time or the winter time, right? When it comes around particular places, it's higher, right? And the temperature decreases. Sometimes the sun is closer, right? And it's operating closer in certain parts in its course, and certain places of the earth are hotter. So the sun has its own course that it runs in according to the Most High. And each portion receives a period of time. All right. So it's nighttime here, the sun starts its cycle at another place, for lack of better terms. And now they have light. And it's nighttime here, and vice versa with the moon. They don't take days off. Right? The sun doesn't get bathroom breaks. The sun doesn't get vacation. The sun operates through the spirit of the Most High. All right. Let's go to First Esdras. Right? First Esdras chapter 4. Right? Salakia. Let's go to First Esdras, the 4th chapter. This is First Esdras chapter 4. Again, because you can learn about biblical astronomy just based off of the Bible and the word of the Most High. O ye, First Esdras 4 and 34. O ye men, are not women strong? Great is the earth, high is the heaven, swift. Salakia, it's the sun in his course. For he compasseth the heavens round about, and fetcheth his course again to his own place in one day. Right? So the sun moves fast, man. Right? And the sun has a particular course that it starts, then it comes back again, and it finishes by the hand of the Most High. And the sun and the moon also are parabolic for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right? And you also have the stars as well. Let's go to the book of Job. Right? This is Job chapter 9 and verse 8. I'm going to start at 7. Which commandeth the sun, and it riseth not, and sealeth up the stars, which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and treadeth upon the waves of the sea, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, Pleiades, and the chambers of the south. So Arcturus, Orion, Pleiades, you probably seen them and didn't know that was Arcturus. You more than likely have seen Orion, but you didn't know it was Orion or Pleiades. These are different constellations set up by the Most High, right? Different star constellations and clusters by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And they even have names, right? So Arcturus, you look it up, it says a constellation, Great Bear Ursa Major. That's what Esau calls it, because the shape of it is the shape of a bear, that constellation, right? Or so they say. Because Esau likes to do anthropomorphism and take constellations and make fables and stories and gods off of it. See that? So the Most High put that constellation there and called it Arcturus. Esau, he called it Ursa Major because it's in the pattern or shape of a bear. And that's one constellation. And that's where a lot of these nations got their gods from. They will look at these different constellations and make a god off of it. Orion the hunter, right? Zeus, and all of every god goes back that these nations worship. Every god goes back to the sun, moon, and the stars. Every idol. Islam goes back to the moon. Christianity, it goes back to the sun. And every other religion goes back to the stars in some form or fashion. So that would be Arcturus, according to the Most High. Then you also have another constellation called Orion. And Orion is commonly known, right? Orion, the constellation. Let's pull up Orion. This is another constellation invented by the Most High. Now, the stars have a purpose. The stars' job is to guide man in the night. All right, to guide man in the night. That's why people call Orion the hunter, because it looks like he's a man with a bow in his hand. In the book of Amos, it calls it the 7 stars of Orion. See that? So you look up Orion, it's like a man that's hunting. Orion the hunter. It wasn't made for people to worship. And see, they created a god, Orion's belt. That's his belt. He's the hunter. Right? That's where his head is, his shoulders, his legs. But yet you have these constellations that are made by the Most High. And again, we have to not make gods off of these things or the creation of the Most High. The Most High charged us to receive instruction. Remember, the star guides men in the night. So we have to have that same spirit. We have to be a guide unto men in the night, right? We have to show men right from wrong, right? What's righteousness? What's wickedness? How to serve the Most High and how to please the Most High. That's being a star, right? Being a star is not having a star on Hollywood boardwalk or boulevard. It's not having a red carpet or a paparazzi. What makes you a true star is a man that's guiding his nation in a night season. A man that's full of light, right? A man that could be banded together. Because stars are in bands, like brothers are in camps. A camp is really a constellation when you think about it, because it's a cluster of stars. You might have 7 brothers at one camp. You know, you got a brother reading, you got a brother teaching, you got another brother holding posts. You may have a brother doing flyer missions. That's a constellation, which is a group of stars. And the constellations are guiding men in the spiritual night season. Because you have many constellations, you have many camps, many clusters of stars. You can't number the stars. All right, this is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. Salakia. And they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. So if you turn people to righteousness, you are like a star that's going to shine forever and ever. Right? Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, the 43rd chapter. Right? Ecclesiasticus chapter 43. So a star teaches you what? To guide men in the night season, to be able to essentially form a bond with other stars. That's why you have a strong brotherhood, right? Or you may have a strong sisterhood or a strong camp. That's a constellation. A star also doesn't what? It doesn't faint, right? This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 43 and 9. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. That's what the Lord said. Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth upon the chief places of concord. The highest places is what? the chief concourse where brothers teach. A brother might teach downtown, maybe in front of a shopping center, in front of a bank, maybe in front of a strip mall, in a public area. That's the highest places where the stars are at. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. Just like we can't faint in our watches. You can't drift off into darkness. You can't fade away back in the world. You can't revert back to the old man. You have to stay rooted and grounded in this truth and never faint in your watches. Whether you're watching over your spirit, whether you're watching over your household, whether you're watching for these prophecies and World War III and the Houthis in America and all that hell breaking loose and EMP attacks and exposure and wickedness on the earth, you can't faint. You can't go to sleep. So you have to learn from the moon to increase to perfection and not be a man that decreases back in the darkness. You have to learn from the sun to constantly be on fire, to be zealous, to push heat. You understand? To finish your course. That's why even Timothy said that Paul, Slakia, I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. The sun always finishes its course. 2 Timothy chapter 4 and 7. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Just like the sun repeats its course. We're repeating our course, man. Because we've done this before. If you believe in the Most High now, you believed in the Most High back in the ancient world. Right? If you believe in Yahweh Shai now, you believed in Yahweh Shai back then. You may have been one of the one who was getting fed with the 2 fishes and 5 loaves. Maybe you were at Yahweh Shai's wedding. Maybe you were one of the ones that lifted the roof up to let the man down to be healed. Maybe you were one of the disciples. Maybe you're one of the 12. The sun runs its course over and over. You're running your course again. Even the Most High told John that he would go again and prophesy before many nations and people and tongues and kings, paraphrasing. So John wasn't finished his course. He had to come back and finish his course. But this is last course. Right? That's what the Lord said. The city hath no need for the sun and for the moon. On a parabolic level. Right? I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. So you have to learn from the sun and finish your course. Right? And the sun has to finish his course before the nighttime comes. And the nighttime is coming. Jacob's trouble, World War III, possible EMP attacks, all hell breaking loose, famines, civil war, plundering, pillaging, martial law, FEMA camps. You have to finish your course before darkness comes. And that's what the sun teaches you, man. Right? That's why we say the sun is setting, man. The sun is setting. There's still light, but when the sun is setting, you see the darkness coming. You might even see a damn fox come out, man. It's not even complete nighttime, and a wild beast already out. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them that love his appearing. So again, we have to understand the sun and the moon and the stars and receive instruction from them. The new moon is not just the day to blow the trumpet and, just eat and laugh. No, you should be learning how to change your life until Yahweh Bashmi, how to increase to perfection. You understand? You should be thinking about the days that draw nigh on the earth. The days of trouble are at hand because the moon tells you about the days. The stars, you can't faint in your watch. The sun, you have to finish your course, man. These things are created for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. And part of those days are the last days. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh. Ba'ashima Mashiach Malak Yahushai. Most High willing you are edified. Kwam Yasha. Shalom.